Good evening, y'all. It's Peter Barclay here, host of the 3 Minute Drill and the True North Sports Talk podcast. And I just wanted to drop a video just to catch up a little more in depth on some news around the sporting world. 3 minutes can sometimes go by real fast, and a podcast, this doesn't really feel podcast-ish. So I just wanted to drop this here and see how y'all like it. It's just a little more tidbits of information. So we'll start out in Blue Jay land. Their game is currently ongoing to my left here. They are top of the 8th with 1 out. The Jays are hitting right now, and it's 4-2 for the Blue Jays. And I know some friends of mine and we've all been talking about this team. And one of the things we've been saying for, months, years even, is that we would love to see this team bunt more. And this is something that is a lost art in the game today. We've also been saying we would like to see a true leadoff hitter on the Blue Jays, and that, in fact, the art of being a true leadoff hitter, a la Ricky Henderson, Devon White, Tim Raines, Kenny Lofton, Otis Nixon, take your pick really from those guys in that era who were lightning quick, could bunt the ball, steal bases, situational hitting. In a few of those cases, like Otis Nixon, Devon White come to mind, they're switch hitters. We've been saying that that's kind of a lost art in baseball these days. We could really only point to a Jose Altuve or an L.A. De La Cruz. I think I'm missing someone in that thought process here. But there's very, very few guys who can fill that role that way anymore. It's very much a lost art. And perhaps, if this is a topic that interests you guys, if you guys don't mind commenting, and hopefully enough people see this, if you'd like to see a full half hour on the lost art of the leadoff hitter in the True North Sports Talk podcast, let me know. And keep your eyes open, because if it's something you're interested in, I will do a full half hour on it. So all of a sudden it seems like they've learned how to bunt, because at least Andreas Jimenez tonight laid down a gem. And then Jonathan Klass, who we'll get to in a minute, he laid down almost an identical bunt, and both of them beat it out. They have Dalton Varsho on the roster, and if all three of those guys could be in the same game laying down beauties like that, it led to a 3-run inning for the Jays tonight. And so that's exhibit A for what we would like to see as fans all the time. So yeah, it's just amazing what we can see when they start playing small ball like that, because quite frankly, beyond Santander, Guerrero obviously, the odd Springer one, you're not getting a whole lot of mash out of this lineup. I mean, Barger can get into one once in a while, but he's not nearly at that level of consistency yet. Bichette runs into one occasionally. He's, if I'm remembering correctly, has had a 20 home run season, but it's not something you can count on from Bichette. What I would love to see from Bichette is him back in the 2-hole with a proper leadoff hitter in front of him. And I would love to see him. And I mean, so far this year, up to a point, he was leading the league in hits again. And I just want to see him on base in front of Vladdy and Santander, and then have Springer right behind those guys. And if there's anyone else that we can think of that can just back up those guys. And I mean, in spurts and fits and starts here, Clement's a very, very serviceable 9-hitter because he can get on ahead of the aforementioned big guys at the top of the lineup. I think the Jays really are just maybe another home run hitter and a leadoff hitter away from being really dangerous on offense, because if they have all that bunting they can mix in with guys getting on base at the top of the lineup. And who knows, maybe if Klaus could be more consistent in getting on base, maybe that could be your leadoff hitter. He could fit that mold because he is lightning quick, how he beat out that bunt. It's just you need that consistency from him. And if I were the Blue Jays hitting coaches, I'd be telling him, yo, stop trying to hit home runs. Just don't. Just get on base any way you can. If it's a bunt, a bloop single, hit the ball the other way, hit it in the gap, do all those kind of things and stop going for the glory of the home run. You could be one of the best leadoff hitters in this game. That's what I'd be telling them every day if I was one of their hitting coaches. And just be like, use your speed to wreak havoc. Be the next Ricky Henderson. Don't be Ricky Henderson, because no one ever could be, but fit that mold. Do that type of thing at the top of the Jays lineup, because it's been severely lacking over the past, 10, 15, 20 years. We need something like that. And I mean, Springer was a great leadoff hitter for a long period of time, but I think he's better suited in that 5-6 spot where he's been this year at this stage of his career. And if he could just embrace the Kevin Kiermaier attitude of, I'm just going to be on base, next man up kind of thing, and just stay right where he is. I don't think he should move in the lineup, because I've heard people say, hey, why shouldn't he lead off? And I'm like, well, he ain't broke where he is, so let's not fix him. Let's just leave him right where he is. And to me, that makes a heck of a lot more sense than forcing him back into a position where it might knock him out of the zone that he's in right now, and you can't afford that. Now, oddly enough, the thing we thought was going to be a strength this year in the starting pitching for this team has been shaky at best. And so I would just say that we need more from the starters, who, like the 4 at least. Oh dear. Moncada did it again. Or was that a replay? Oh, my bad. That was a replay. Sorry. Anyway, so let's not rush to move Springer anywhere else in the lineup. I think he's great where he is. The starting pitching, that's what we were talking about. Now that I'm back into it here. Sorry about that little hiccup for a moment. But we need more from the starting pitching. I mean, tonight, Barrios, up until he gave up that home run they just showed the replay for, he had a great night tonight. Now, we need that momentum to carry on into his next start. But some of the early starts from these veteran pitchers have been so-so at best. Now, hopefully they heat up, and Vladdy and Santander heat up as the summer does. But we really need more from this starting rotation. Unfortunately, I mean, I saw a stat that showed the ERA and just the strikeouts and all the stuff from 4 guys out of the bullpen, and it was dynamite. But it's like those guys are just so overworked and tired right now that, I mean, last night was pretty darn scary, really. The bullpen gave up 6 runs in the 8th inning, and it just, you can't have that. And I know those guys have worked a lot. They've been steady as a rock all year long. But if you check out the podcast that we did, number 4, should they blow it up or stay the course? That was more about management than it was about the team on the field. But at the same time, one of the drawbacks that management team has is putting together a solid bullpen and letting guys like Ryan Yarbrough start for the New York Yankees when you had him on your team in spring training and you need him dearly right now with your 5th starting spot in your rotation. It's just, it's mind-boggling. So let's get to some moves the Blue Jays made today. As I said, I would mention Jonathan Klaas a bit later on, and I just needed to click more here. Okay, so that's what that full thing was. I didn't really need to do that. Okay, so roster moves today. Alan Rodin and Dylan Tate were optioned to AAA. And Jonathan Klaas was recalled, and he's active tonight. Braden Fisher was also called up and is active tonight. Now, I've been focusing a little bit on you guys here, so I haven't seen whether he pitched tonight or not. I don't think so far. We got Little pitching right now, and Darno batting. We got 1 out, runners on 2nd and 3rd. So we'll see how that turns out here. Now, fans of Stuart Baroa will be disappointed in the fact that he was designated for assignment, likely a 40-man roster move to clear up some space there potentially. Now, he could just end up staying in AAA. He could get selected off waivers. They could trade him. So something seems to be coming down the line with him. But that was the moves that were made by the Blue Jays today. And let's see, something just happened. Oh, I think they were showing a replay again from last night. Alright. Keep getting tricked by these replays. Now, a little bit of CFL news today for all you CFL fans out there. This was a little bit surprising, is the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, Zach Collaros, and you may remember him from his days in Hamilton and Toronto, he failed to show up for a drug test. And that's mandatory in the CFL. Everyone's got to do this process at the beginning of each season, or during the off season they do random testing. And he failed to make himself available for testing. And so he has been suspended by the league. Let's find out how many games here. 1 game. Okay, so it's not huge. It's not the end of the world. Out of 16 or 18 games, he's only missing 1. So for Winnipeg, that's not the end of the world. But that's a surprising move from a guy who's been uber professional over his career in the CFL. So that's a bit of a surprising news. Now, just quickly, I want to touch on the NBA for a couple of points. One I'm seeing here is another day, another lawsuit of a professional athlete or professional athlete who's now a coach, and more sexual assault allegations. This one is it's hard to say surprising anymore, because it's such a daily thing that it's hard to say it's surprising even based on who it is. But at the same time, it's like, is this just a Me Too movement trying to get money out of these guys? I don't know, it's starting to feel fishy. This time around, it's actually Byron Scott, who's been a very respected coach, and in his playing days was a very respected player, so it's a little surprising. But it says that he has a lawsuit levied against him. And so the other point in the NBA that I wanted to touch on is a happy, sad one. It's been coming for a while, and with escalating health issues over the past couple years, it's not altogether surprising, but it's sad in a way, because it is the end of an era, and I am referring to Greg Popovich. He has chosen to step away from coaching. From what I understand, he has a role as president of operations in the front office, but he'll no longer be on the sidelines. That is a happy, sad moment, because he deserves it. He's been coaching for so long, like since 1996, when I believe it was that he took over that team. They have, with the exception of the first 3 years maybe, the 26 years since, they have been perennial contenders, or at least playoff teams, almost every single season, except for maybe last year and the year before. But before that, it was like, where are they placing? 4th, 5th, 6th? They were going to be somewhere in the Western Conference every single year with him. He was so consistent. Reminded me of Jerry Sloan. Just that level of consistency was just off the charts, and they were always bringing guys through their system. So that's a sad, happy day, but it's good news at least. So there was... Okay. We're going to switch gears here. I wanted to talk hockey, and the first part of this actually took a lot longer than I thought it might. So the Buffalo Sabres have made an interesting addition to their front office. They have hired Eric Stahl. Many of you who are a little bit older, the kids may not remember him, but Eric Stahl was a player in the league for a long time. His brothers were also players. Jordan is still playing, I believe. And so he is special assistant to the GM in Buffalo. So we'll see what kind of wisdom he can bring to that organization that is dearly in need of just a turnaround. They need a Dominic Hasek. They need a Chris Drury, Michael Pekka. They need like players of that ilk that were just hard-nosed, ready for the playoffs. Like just, they need that touch. Now, I wanted to talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs, and I had thought a lot about this throughout the day today, and it was... Okay, before we get there, is it the hockey team? Yeah. Okay, so the Utah Hockey Club, from the sound of it, has a new name and a new logo and a mascot. They are the Utah Mammoth. Now, for anyone who may not be up on what a mammoth is, it's an elephant that is like 3 times the size of an elephant, and it had tusks. And unfortunately, the last ice age that Earth went through, they did not survive that. And so they're no longer with us, but they were amazing creatures, shall we say. So we don't have to call them the Utah Hockey Club anymore. They are now the Utah Mammoth. So that is pretty cool. And I saw one guy sitting on the stage, and instead of elbows up, he says tusks up. So that kind of fits. Alright, so I wanted to talk about what happened in Game 1 between the Leafs and the Panthers. Now, Anthony Stolarz last year played for the Panthers, as did Ekman Larsson and Lorentz on the Stanley Cup winning team. And so there was an incident partway through the second period of Game 1 where Sam Bennett bumped Stolarz, although it was a very hard bump. And there was a previous incident where he took a shot off the face, and they got it right. Okay, quickly, in the Blue Jays game right there, they're challenging an out call at first base on a double play, and when you look at the replay, the first baseman's foot never actually touches the base, even until after the runner's foot touches it. So this should be pretty quick. That call should be overturned fairly easily, but that's an interesting boo-boo on the part of the Angels. Alright, so back to Game 1 of the Maple Leafs. And so Stolarz came out of the game and was seen vomiting on the bench. Now they're concerned that he may have received a concussion, and in the broadcast I was watching, they have rules experts and interpretations of those rules on the broadcast, and whoever the rules expert was, felt that there should have at least been a 2-minute minor for goaltender interference. And if I'm the referees in that game, I would start with a 5-minute major. And you ask, why would you start with a 5-minute major? Well, that gives the referees the ability to go to the penalty box, get out the tablets, talk to New York, and review the play. And if all they assess is a 2-minute minor, I'd be more than okay with that. But the fact that it was a play on, first off, it's the goalie, and he's in his crease, which means he should be protected at all times. It's not like he was behind the net and got a body check. Anyone who watched the game tonight knows Wall took his life in his own hands that way a few times tonight too. But this happened in the crease, the blue ice, where goalies are supposed to be protected. So to me, call the 5, and even if you reduce it to 2, I'm good with that. But look at it. And the league looking at it afterwards and saying no discipline. It's hard. That's a hard one for me, because I understand why they said no discipline, because there was no penalty on the play, and it could be seen as incidental, even though it really wasn't. And the thing about it is that I'm not trying to throw out conspiracy theory here, but those guys know how good Stolarz is. And they were losing 4-1 at the time. And if they have any way of getting back in this series, in their mind, that was going to be through Joseph Wall. And they're a hard-hitting, heavy team to play against to begin with. But if they could get Stoli out of the net, whether they say it was intentional or not, that only makes the path easier for them in their mind. So that's a tough one for me as a league to say, nope, nothing happened there, it's okay, play on. Alright, so what happened after Stolars came out of the game? Well, there was a comeback. Because Joseph Wall came in the game cold, and this year he's been okay. Like, his record's not bad, his save percentage isn't horrible. It's just he hasn't been what we know he can be. And the comeback was on last night, and they almost did it. The Leafs were able to stay ahead of it and come out with the win. They were up 1-0 now. At that point, it's just that play, if you're a Leaf fan, reeked to high heaven. If you're a Panthers fan, you're breathing a sigh of relief that they didn't take one of your better forwards out in Sam Bennett. You're relieved he didn't get a penalty that could have led to another Leaf goal, because one of the things we talked about on the podcast number 5, prepping you for round 2, is that the Leafs power play, you play with that fire too often and you're going to get burned. And tonight, if you watch the game, that was on full display. They had 3 power plays, the Leafs did, in the first period, and they scored on at least one of them. So you play with that fire long enough, you're getting burned. So yeah, that was one of the keys at the beginning of the series, was stay out of the box. Don't let that power play go to work. So if you're a Panthers fan, unfortunately you're not worried necessarily, because this is a strong team. They can bounce back. But they're down 2-0 now, because Wally did what he does. He had a solid game. He kept his team in it. We got goals, bounce backs. We got answers at the right time from the right players. Marner, Nylander. You got exactly what you wanted if you're a Leaf fan tonight, because those responses in years past just weren't there. And so credit the coaching staff, credit the players for stepping up, and the Leafs are heading back to Florida, or down to Florida, up 2-0. And so they got a tough road ahead of them, especially in that building down there. And we'll see how the rest of the series goes, but it's a far less formidable tandem of Wall and Matt Murray, at least for tonight, than it would have been Stolarz, Joseph Wall. So yeah, that was a bit of a tough one, guys. Seeing that happen, I think there should have been more of a reaction from the referees in the game, and I think there should have been more of a reaction from the league itself. And Ekblad had a bit of a moment tonight too, where he had a questionable hit. So no, that was in the previous series, actually, what I'm seeing here. So that's not what I'm thinking of. Alrighty, guys. We had a quick half hour here. It was impromptu. I'm not going to put this up as a podcast. We're just going to put it up as a video. And yeah, hope you guys enjoy it. Hope you could learn something, got something out of it. And yeah, see you on the next video, guys. Have a good night.